Finally, a beautiful chicken run that doesn't stink. Beautiful enough for the front yard. Good morning, ladies. That just below the surface of this deep mulch. Oh my gosh, can you look? Beautiful, beautiful compost. Fresh, wonderful stuff. Here, wonderful stuff. Today, I'm gonna show you this beautiful system where the garden feeds the chickens and the chickens feed the garden. You're welcome, Mr. Cucumber. First, let's get some tools. So I'm gonna talk to you how to keep a static chicken run smelling fresh and giving you compost. Need a hard rake and a shovel. Hard rake. And where, are you kidding me? Where are all our shovels? We have nicer ones than this, but this one. I'm gonna show you how we built this thing with cedar, non-toxic, that lasts for a very long time. Forgot my water. I'm gonna show you how to manage these chickens in a system like this. By the way, 4 chickens will drink about a quart of water a day. So 16 chickens will do a gallon, so this actually lasts a few days. Good morning, the beautiful one.
Good morning.
You got any of these precious plants going out into your raised beds?
My sunflowers are going, well, not raised beds. The raised beds are done.
Oh.
But in my herb garden.
Okay.
The sunflowers, flowers, I've got a couple pumpkins that need to go out. I probably need to pot up some things.
Okay. Well, I got some compost for you.
Okay.
If you need it. At least a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe a wheelbarrow load. Yes, I'll let your chickens out. Is that okay? Or do you like to feed them before you let them out?
Why is there another feeder in here?
Oh, I don't know. Will you get it out? Maybe switch it, because this one's all jacked up. Or not. Here we go. Oh, honey. Can you pick that up when you're done? It just looks not so good. Thank you. One more thing to get for this demo.
I got my jacket, please.
All right. Hey, you're up and at 'em. Got your shoes on. Got your jacket. Man, you're doing good. I'll be happy to just have to help you with zipping your jacket. All right, we got a wheelbarrow, but it's full of, it's full of holy cow squat and some wood chips, but no problem. We can just dump that into the chickens. Hey, you want to ride? I'll put another layer of mulch, just to make sure you're not sitting in cow squat.
What button do I hit? This one?
Yep. Moving wheelbarrows always works better with chitlers. Hey Brian, will you hold that door open for me, please? There's a little ledge, a removable ledge for getting wheelbarrows in and out, but it still holds the mulch up. But let's see if we can just cross it. Oh yeah. Oops. Oops. Next time, I'll just do this. And I've got my path. All right, we keep that there to keep the mulch contained. All right, come on, Mr. Brown. Dump this out. Now I could throw any old thing in there. There's manure and wood chips, and these chickens will turn that, scratch it. They want to do a lot more than just lay eggs. They want to scratch all day. They will put my work ethic to shame. I know, they work from dawn till dusk. I know, because I live with them for 24 hours. And they wore me out, just watching them. All right. So first, the idea of this thing. Chickens can be put to work in many ways. In this way, they're going to be making compost for us in a static run. Many of you have to have their chickens in a static run. Other ways are out into pasture, fertilizing it with their manure, or going behind cows and stirring the manure, eating the fly larvae. This is a perfect system. If you have to have a static run, need it to be beautiful for a front yard. And always, it's a good idea to have chickens next to a garden, because like you saw earlier, the chickens feed the garden with their compost. You know, they manure on this. They scratch this, and eventually it becomes compost we put on the garden. But the garden also feeds the chickens. The extra stuff, the spent stuff, the weeds, all gets thrown into here, and what they don't eat gets turned into compost. We're walking on wood chips. I feel like that's the easiest, most effective deep bedding. It's on about 8 inches to a foot. I put it on once a year. We haven't accessed, guys, you gotta see how this is done. First, let's move our planter. We'll get to that in a minute. Oh, did you catch a chicken? Good job. We have these nice gates where all you gotta do is lift up on that and the gate goes open, okay? Do both gates. Gideon, you're gonna have to hold them so they don't come out. We've got both gates open. Why? And we can open them all the way. Why? Well, we gotta get the material in here. It's easiest to get it in with like a wood chip service or something like that, like a tree service. They can come and dump it in, but how? How do they get through this? This pole has to be here to support these gates. Well, watch this. Randolph, our carpenter, invented this. Are you lifting it? Oh! You want to set that to the side, Gideon?
Well, there's water in there.
He got a plastic fence post that the 4x4 cedar happens to fit right into, and it can be removable. The trucks can come in and dump, and then we have our supports for our fence. More on the fence in a second. Let's finish this compost demo. It took one full load of wood chips, just typical tree service truck. We piled it up in here. We had that placed in the middle, and then we just slung it out and took it about 30 minutes. Look, they're all up on it. Typically, I would put that much mulch in every year, once a year, but before I would put that mulch in, I would harvest compost all at once. It's just batching, or you can harvest compost as you need it. So you saw me digging a little bit earlier. Let's get some of this. Actually, we could use a shovel because this is fresh stuff. This will break down over a year and the mulch will be much shallower. But let's say you want to harvest some compost. You just need a little bit of compost. All right, we're just getting the wood chips off. It doesn't matter where you put it. Accidentally got some soil with that one, it doesn't matter. Okay, we're just getting us a harvest area. I wondered for the longest time, how do you harvest compost under a deep mulch system? Well, this is how. Now hopefully that I'm showing you, it makes sense. It doesn't matter if you leave a little bit of wood chips in there, we're gonna sift those out in just a second. Now we take our simple, homemade, this 2x4 is cut to the size of a wheelbarrow, 1/2 inch wire mesh. You could do a 1/4. I think I might actually rather do a 1/4, but we did a 1/2 inch wire mesh this time, hardware cloth, and just mounted it on there with poultry nails actually, which is like a small U-nail. It's ready to go. Put the ram side up, and I'm gonna grab some of that compost and put it in here. Oh yeah. And then look at the chickens going crazy for it. They see it, we don't see it. What do you see in there, honey? What do you see? Can't get in there. What do you see? What do you guys see in there? Now that we have our compost up here, it's wet, so it's probably gonna actually be easier to do this with this tool. Probably be better to do this on a drier day. It's just rained for like 4 days. But my motto is just plant. You can do like that. If it were drier, I could do like this. And it might make sense. Okay? You just wait till you see what's going through here, guys. Just wait. Just wait. Just hang with me. The reason I would maybe do this early spring, and get us some compost, I would cover that compost that I harvested and use it throughout the season. But I would want to build down my beds before adding more material. You can harvest as you go, but look, I had to dig like a hole. You ready for the reveal? Guys, if this were drier, it would have done a lot better, but we're gonna do what we caught. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Look at this beautiful stuff. This is beautiful. This is like free fertilizer. Like bulletproof your garden right here with this stuff. Hey Beauty, you got anywhere you want some compost?
Do I have to pour it right now, or can I pour it when I'm done? because I do.
Will you be done today?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want it right there beside, is that sunflowers you're gonna put it on?
That or I have some other things that I'm planting.
Okay, sure. I'll just wheelbarrow it here. Come get me when you're gonna do it. Oh my gosh, really? Let's remove this time. I could have also ramped it up on both sides. There's many ways I could do that. I did that because this gate is automatic shut, which is handy, especially if you have kids managing this. Speaking of which, someone wanted to know what's kind of best kind of chicken in here. I would say not an Icelandic. They're so scrappy. They want to be out on like a free range system. Get your traditional bird in here, like a black Australorp, a Delaware, Buff Orpington, Barred Plymouth Rock, Rhode Island Red. I mean, anything will do. Just get you some chickens. Nice. They like something from this wall. This back. I should know this beautiful compost. Rebecca, did we turn that compost once?
Which one?
This one. The one I'm about to give you.
No.
No. Did we buy it?
Nope.
No. All we did was get wood chips off of our farm. And they dumped them in there. We spread them. We did do that. And the chickens worked it. And they created this. They created this. It takes longer time than if we were to turn it and make a compost pile.
Right.
But there it sits. It's a little box. Nice. A little bit of food for your sunflowers.
Spread it out with my hands.
So how long does it take chickens to get fresh wood chips, mulch, wood chips? It takes, I'd say 6 months if you were starting from fresh. And guys, you can put this could been on a lawn. The chickens will eat the grass. You could wait until the chickens have eaten the grass, then bring in the wood chips, or either way, the grass will suffocate under the wood chips, or the chickens will stir this up and eat the grass. But a general rule of thumb is 6 months. It's going to take about 6 months in a cold temperate climate where it actually rains, like where we are here. We get 40 inches of rain a year for them to break it down. You don't get that much rain and you want them to break it down, hose this down every once in a while. Now let's talk about chicken management, and then we'll get to the build, how this thing was actually built. This is 48 inches tall mostly. Some places it's, you know, we had to go with the land, so we had to drop it in some places. So of course it's taller right here than right here, but in general this is a 48-inch tall rail. Look, she's found the manure. She's digging in that cow manure. I'm serious, guys. Throw any organic matter in here. Manure, food scraps, weeds, grass clippings, anything. It's a static run. What if your chickens are jumping out? I don't think these guys are. I think our fence is good. Oh yeah, it's okay. It's okay. If they are, you can do what I've already clipped their wings. That might be why. Well, you only really need to clip one side, but I'll do a demo on the other side. So there's your wing. Look at the difference here. See how you go from long feathers to short feathers? That's your mark. It doesn't hurt them. It's like clipping their fingernails. Yeah, I mean, if you go too high up, it could hurt them and draw blood. But you see, it's it. Leave the feathers in there to decompose and add to the organic matter. These guys have plenty of room. Maximum though, I believe you could get away with in a system like this is 3 square foot per chicken outdoor run. Now, if you have more chickens, you might need to add more wood chips than just once a year. We just have, what, a dozen-ish chickens in here, and this is a pretty big area. We could do 24 in here. We're gonna certainly probably raise our baby chicks in here. Just watch. I mean, if it smells, it's time to add some more organic matter. It doesn't have to just be wood chips. It could be leaves, it could be sawdust, it could be pine shavings from Tractor Supply or similar. What else could you put in here? If you had organic straw, any of those type of organic grass clippings. Now, I wouldn't necessarily suggest building this until you've had chickens in one spot for 3 years. Because what if you change your mind? This is hard to move. We actually had our chickens in one here for like, what, Rebecca, 8 years?
We've had them in our front yard for a very long time.
And an electric mobile net, and it was a good thing because we moved it. We tried different systems, and then we found this net stood here for a long time. We're like, okay, let's go for it. One thing's good about this is this can be a static run. They can stay in that. It's easy to maintain. It's one of the easiest systems. But it could also be a holding. They can come out of here and do a job. These guys, actually, we would probably take 3 or 4 of them. Our plan is we're going to build a chicken tractor that fits right over our raised bed, so that when this is done, we put our chicken tractor. It's going to be easy enough to lift with 2 people, 1 person in a pinch. We'll put the chicken tractor on here. We would capture the chickens at night, 3 or 4 of them, and put them in that and work this in, and get all the produce that we didn't get, and to maybe add their manure and things like that. You could move them out to a cover crop pasture, to a big garden you want tilled. You could move them out in the pasture during the growing season. Whatever. This makes that all possible. It can be just their permanent place, or it can be just a holding, and then you send them out on little missions. Like these guys, I sent 3 of them out on our instant chicken garden. Like, chickens did that, guys. This is our instant chicken garden. They did that. We took 3 of those guys, put them in a chicken tractor. They tilled and fertilized the ground. We moved them off. We built a garden with just 4 inches of compost. Guess where we got it? Guess where we got this compost? Anybody guess? The chicken run. Then we put down a weed barrier, paper, and then we put down grass clippings from our yard, and we seriously just planted these down into there. That was it. Well, we spread a little bit of amendments for our acidic soil and our clay soil, but that's it. So what about predators for these guys? Well, we put in 1x6 cedar at the bottom. One, to keep the mulch in from sliding underneath. It would just look terrible if mulch slid out, and it just keeps it nice. Mowed lawn out there keeps our mulch in, but also keeps the predators out. They can dig under. Best practice would be to bury some hardware cloth. You know, dig down maybe a foot and bury some hardware cloth stapled to this, and weigh it back down with the soil, and then something can't dig through. We don't have a lot of predator pressure here in our front yard, plus we close them into their coop at night. And by the way, I have a coop, and this one's on the ground. This is an A-frame design. We put wood chips inside. This will be moved, but it's hard to move. It's kind of buried in wood chips. It's gonna be a bit of a struggle to move. Should I try to move it now? Let's try to move it now. That'll be entertaining. Oh, and while we're at it, what's this? What's this pallet? I put a pallet in here because they stir this wood chips, and I don't want them to stir it into my water. So if I have a pallet and I'll put the water in the middle, 1, if they're not stirring anywhere near it, and 2, they jump up there and have dirt or wood chips on their feet, it drops off before they get to their water. We were hoping this was just going to be a temporary, because we want to put, I think it would be better to put a coop that's a bit off the ground, like my mini-me. I think I'll put my chickshaw mini-me, because then the poop drops right down to the ground. It's not buried in wood chips. Am I gonna even be able to move this thing? I'm gonna have to dig that out. This thing's kind of heavy as it is. It's tried and true though. It's an old coop. We're using it up, wearing it out, making it do and doing without. Told you this is gonna work better with a camera. Hopefully the beautiful one watching. She ain't paying me no mind. All right. There we go, here we go, here we go, okay. All right, not too bad, but no way she or Jonah's gonna do that. There we go. All right, now the chickens will spread this. See our manure load here? See why I'm voting for a more, that'd be kind of like a poultry pen where there's a floor, where there's no floor. I'd rather have a uplifted floor, big wheels, that I could just easily move, that a kid could move. So we talked about land predators, but what about aerial predators? Grown chickens here don't really have that much pressure from hawks or similar, but some people got hawks or eagles. I would not be opposed to this being smaller or going all out and covering this whole thing, and even having shade cloth in some area just to give them a nice cool place to go in the summer. But then also real covering like tin or something like that. Not only will this protect this from the moisture, but then you got some more control of how this breaks down. You can make it last longer, or you could water it however you want to break it down. And it could also serve as a predator control. So if I had really high predator pressure, I would very seriously consider making this a big cage. You guys ready? You've been waiting for this fence design. Well, first I should speak to these are nice. We saw these in a gardening store. I'll link some below. They're not the exact kind. We couldn't find them online, but these are handy. They just fit on a 2x4, and you just put potting soil in there. And gosh, guys, I could have one every spot. If you didn't have a lot of room, you could grow so much food. You would have your chickens here, and you would have your gardens here, and really that could be all. That could be it. You could do like the beautiful one and have beautiful planters outside of it too, along the edges. And you could have one everywhere. We are inspired by this design. We saw this at the Biltmore house when our family went there. They probably used a hair nicer cattle panel, but this is just straight up cattle panel. This is cedar lumber. This is a cedar post because it's going into our ground. We wanted something non-toxic. We didn't want pressure treated because we're going to be harvested in this compost. Chickens will be eating and scratching there, and it's going over there, so we wanted something that would last, not rot, but is also not toxic. So you had your post, you put on your top, both sides, goes right into the middle, and then look how this is built. So now I don't know necessarily the order. We hired our carpenter Randolph to do this. We gave him the idea, the inspiration, and he went with it, but you can see how this is built. So you have the 2x4 on the inside. You have one here. Why is this one here? And is that a 2x4? No, that's a 2x4 ripped in half. So it's like a 1.5 ish. And those are stripped, and that is what's holding the cattle panel in. Somebody was asking, well, how do you hold this cattle panel in? It's actually trimmed it. See, the cattle panel's sitting there, and it's held in by he put one of these in first, you put the cattle panel against it, and then you put this other one in, and it holds your cattle panel. Now, cattle panel is not going to keep a chicken in. I mean, maybe it would have right there. That's a thinner net web there, but we just put this poultry net because we're going to raise chicks here, and this definitely keeps them in. This is like a fortress. And that's really how it's built. What else can I show you? Oh, we have it zip tied here. We could have done metal wire, but zip ties last a very long time. Metal wire might have lasted a little longer and maybe looked a little bit better. At the bottom we put the 1x6s just to hold the mulch in, keep the chickens in, keep predators out. That's it. It really is that simple. The gates, these are very nice handy gates. Heavy duty bracing on all four corners. It's got this spring latch. You can open it from both sides. So you can open it from the inside, push it out, or you can open it from the outside. It always swings out. We had sloping land, so we went straight for a while and then had to drop it. Straight for a while and then drop it. A professional carpenter, it took a professional carpenter, Randolph, a good week. Probably a good 40 hours to do this. That's a lot of work. It's a big investment. But this is gonna last 10, 20 years, and it's so little maintenance. So little. Like with the net, it's great, but in a permanent situation, you have to go and readjust it. It grounds out constantly from the mulch getting pushed on it. It gets pushed into your yard. It's electric. This is not electric. It's like the power can go out, we're all right. This, you don't have to check the fence to see if it's hot. This is just like, yeah, you pay for it up front, you work for it up front, but then it's easier to maintain over the long run. There you have it, folks. Hopefully I can inspire and have taught you guys a thing or two about my no stink, compost making, chickens feed the garden, garden feeds the chickens system that's beautiful enough for your front yard. It doesn't have to be exactly like this. You can mimic this in many ways. The principles apply. Just make sure you've got deep bedding, and have your gardens and chickens work together, and you got it. In this video, I was actually answering questions that I posed to my Do-It-Yourself Abundance member area. We just launched that in the spring for our main registration, but guys, many people don't know that I actually keep a free trial open all year round. Now, yes, that's just for the standard level, that's not premium, but you can get in and try our videos, our library of 200 plus videos, more info on stuff like this, gardening, permaculture, chickens, homesteading, and you can even get access to the private Facebook group, which is where I posted this. I think we got over probably nearly 3 dozen questions, and I'm answering the members' questions, but also giving you guys great content. But if you guys want to get in on that, it's a free trial. Link for that down in the description.